The emergency klaxons screamed through Station Meridian's docking bay, but Seth barely heard them over the roar of flames consuming the Zelthari shuttle. Black smoke billowed from the wreckage, and the acrid smell of burning synthetic materials filled his lungs as he sprinted toward the crash site. "Seth! Don't!" Anna's voice crackled through his comm unit. She was monitoring from the control tower, her fingers flying across holographic displays. "The fuel cells are going to blow in less than 2 minutes." Seth ignored her warning. Through the shattered viewport of the shuttle, he could see movement. Small, frantic movement. A child. The Zelthari delegation had brought families to the peace summit, and now one of those families was burning alive. He grabbed a plasma cutter from the emergency kit mounted on the bay wall and ran toward the wreckage. Heat waves distorted the air around the shuttle, and Seth felt his skin prickling even from 10 meters away. The shuttle's door was crumpled inward, sealed by twisted metal that had melted and fused during the crash. 90 seconds, Seth." Anna's voice was sharp with fear. "Please, just wait for the suppression team." But Seth knew there was no time. He activated the plasma cutter and drove it into the seam of the door, molten metal dripping like tears as he carved through the obstruction. Inside, he could hear crying, a high-pitched, keening sound that pierced straight through his chest. The door gave way with a groan, and a wall of smoke and heat hit him like a physical blow. Seth pulled his jacket over his mouth and plunged into the shuttle's interior. The overhead panels were coming loose, sparking and hissing as electrical systems failed. Bodies lay crumpled in the passenger compartment. Adults, unmoving. Seth's stomach churned, but he forced himself forward. There, strapped into a crash seat designed for much larger passengers, was a Zelthari child. She couldn't have been more than 5 in human years, her iridescent skin flickering between blue and terrified purple. Her large eyes locked onto Seth's, and she reached out with trembling hands. "It's okay," Seth said, knowing she probably couldn't understand him. "I've got you." He worked frantically at the harness, but the buckle had warped in the heat. The plasma cutter was too dangerous to use this close to the child. Seth pulled out his multi-tool and began prying at the mechanism with desperate strength. 30 seconds! Anna screamed. "Seth, the reactor!" The buckle snapped free. Seth scooped the child into his arms. She was lighter than he expected, her body composed of something that felt almost crystalline. She clung to him, those alien fingers surprisingly strong against his shoulders. Seth turned and ran. The exit seemed impossibly far away, the smoke thicker now, choking. His lungs burned. The child buried her face against his chest, and he felt her trembling. 10 meters to the exit. 5. Behind them, something groaned, a deep, metallic sound that promised catastrophe. Seth dove through the doorway just as the shuttle's fuel cells erupted. The explosion picked him up and threw him forward like a toy. He twisted in midair, curling his body around the child, taking the impact on his back as they hit the deck plating. Pain exploded through his spine and skull. The world tilted, darkened. Through the haze, he felt the child being pulled from his arms, heard Anna shouting his name. Then, nothing. Seth woke to beauty. Not the sterile beauty of a medical bay, which is where he'd expected to be. Instead, he found himself in a vast chamber that seemed to be carved from a single massive crystal. Light refracted through the walls in patterns that hurt to look at directly, creating rainbows that moved and danced with alien logic. He tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Every muscle in his body screamed protest. "Easy!" Anna appeared beside him, pressing a hand to his shoulder. Relief flooded her features. "You've been out for 3 days, multiple fractures, severe burns, and a concussion that had the doctors seriously worried." "The kid?" Seth's voice was a croak. Anna smiled. "Princess Shiera is fine, thanks to you." "Princess?" Seth blinked. "As in, as in daughter of Queen Velshara of the Zelthari Collective. Anna's smile widened. Seth, you saved the heir to one of the most powerful civilizations in the quadrant. The queen herself demanded to be present when you woke up. As if summoned by her name, a door that Seth hadn't noticed opened and figures entered. The first was the child, Shiera, her skin now a healthy cyan, those large eyes bright with recognition. She ran to Seth's bedside, chirping in rapid Zelthari. Behind her came a being of such regal bearing that Seth understood immediately this was the queen. Velshara stood nearly 3 meters tall, her crystalline body refracting light in complex patterns. When she spoke, a translator device rendered her words in perfect English. "Seth Karim of Earth," the queen said, her voice resonating through the chamber. "You risked your life for my daughter without hesitation, without thought of reward or recognition, without even knowing who she was." Seth tried to speak, but the queen raised one elegant hand. "The Zelthari have observed humanity since your species left your cradle world. We have watched with interest as you spread through the stars. You are young, brash, often foolish." She paused, and something like warmth entered her voice. "But you are also capable of extraordinary courage and selfless compassion. You, Seth Karim, embody the best of what humanity can be." The queen gestured, and an attendant brought forward a crystalline medallion on a chain of woven light. "Kneel," Velshara commanded, then caught herself. "Or, in your current state, simply bow your head." Seth lowered his head, heart pounding. The queen placed the medallion around his neck, and Seth felt a warmth spread through his chest. Not heat, but something more profound, like recognition at a cellular level. "I name you Knight Protector of House Velshara," the queen proclaimed, "an honor never before given to a human. You are now family, Seth Karim, and the Zelthari protect their family." Shiera climbed carefully onto the bed and wrapped her small arms around Seth's neck. Through the translator, her young voice whispered, "Thank you for saving me." Seth looked at Anna, who had tears streaming down her face. He looked at the queen. Standing with such dignity and gratitude, he looked at the child in his arms, alive and whole. "I'd do it again," Seth said simply, without hesitation. And as the queen smiled, an expression that transformed her alien features into something universally understood, Seth realized that this moment, this recognition, wasn't about him at all. It was about what humans could be when they chose courage over safety, what they could achieve when they saw past differences to the universal truth. A child in danger needs saving, no matter what star they call home. The medallion pulsed warm against his chest, and Seth understood that he hadn't just saved a princess that day. He'd helped build a bridge between worlds.